What's good, man? What's good? How's everybody doing? Happy weekend. How's y'all weekend? Ain't nothing happened over the weekend, right? Ain't nothing big happened over the weekend, right? It was just a regular ass weekend, right? Ain't shit happened. Nothing really happened over the weekend. Wasn't super eventful, right? Ain't nothing happened over the weekend at all, dog. Nothing happened at all, man. Nothing happened at all. Oh shit. Nothing happened over this weekend at all. But we'll get right into it. So welcome to another episode of the Jayson Estrera Show, where we talk about basketball as accurate as possible. And today we are talking about the most uneventful weekend in NBA history. Now, I'll be 100% honest with you guys right now, right? I'm gonna keep it all the way a buck. If you want to talk about the Detroit game versus Chicago, or the Boston comeback against Philly, or Memphis deleting the Milwaukee Bucks, if you want to talk about any of those things, then you tuned into the wrong show. You're in the wrong stream right now if you are looking for me to talk about the Indiana Pacers versus the Atlanta Hawks on Saturday, because that is not happening today. Like, I promise y'all right now, we ain't talking about none of these games. Yo, what the fuck happened this weekend, man? Here, I'll give y'all a little backstory. Ain't shit happened over my weekend anyway, and it's not even that important. Saturday night, right? Saturday night, I was getting ready to go to the gym. I was getting ready to go to the gym Saturday night. That was, I did what I had to do that day. I took my dog out. Walked them, dropped Sam off at the airport, took my dog out, went with my homie to IKEA, came back home, kicked it, and then I worked out. And when I'm about to go to the gym, I'm like changing and shit. I get the thing on my news and I'm like, huh? What did Sham say? And like, honestly, mind blown doesn't even begin to describe like that feeling. It was, at first I thought it was fake. I thought it was bullshit. Like, there's no way this trade actually happened. Like, what is this? What? He's not even tweeting. Like, this don't even look like a real tweet. Like, Elijah, I already told you, I got a lot of shit to say today. I already told you, dog. Since Saturday night, I've been trying to, like, think of how I'm going to put my thoughts into words because I have so many things to say. I went for a run last night on the treadmill. I was like, I'm going to do a long-ass run. Hopefully gets my mind off of this for a second. Did not. I ended up thinking about this shit for an hour on that motherfucker. So, yeah, I got to get this out. And here's the other part too. I thought about going live yesterday, right? I really thought about going live yesterday, but honestly, it's a good thing that I didn't because the De'Aaron Fox trade had happened, and then and this with Zach Lavine as well too. But I also just wanted to get my thoughts together, right? So I could present it to you guys and hopefully in a way that's a little bit coherent and I don't sound like a complete moron. But this is all we're going to be talking about today. Like I said, if you're here, you want to talk about the plays between the Detroit Pet, we not talking about none of that shit today. We ain't talking about none of that shit today. So, Luka Doncic has been traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, right? So the Dallas Mavericks are trading Luka Doncic with Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick. And this was a 3-team deal that includes Utah. Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic. Well, there's layers. There are so many layers to this trade, right? And I probably overthought it far too much over the last 48 hours or so. And y'all are going to get to listen to it, right? You're going to listen to my overthinking ass. But we'll start with the basketball, right? We'll start from, small, and we'll work our way out, right? So, basketball. Let's start with the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks are getting Anthony Davis, who's an all-NBA player, all-defensive player. He's put his name in the hat for Defensive Player of the Year this year. Probably should have won one in his career by now, but it is what it is, right? So, Anthony Davis, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris are... Anthony Davis and Max Christie are going to the Dallas Mavericks. So what does this mean for Dallas? On paper, it looks great. It really, really does look great on paper. Because you have 3 all-stars now in Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Klay Thompson, who all 3 players operate in different parts of the floor. So, in theory, they're not going to get in each other's way. Like, a player like Kyrie Irving and a player like Klay Thompson, I get that they can move around the court, obviously, but when you have someone like a Luka Doncic on the floor who takes up a lot of the space from the top of the key to both wings, because that's where he likes to operate, it makes it really difficult to try to find that space, right? What's good, Bruce? What's good, man? Hello. I appreciate you, dog. You hit that like button. Hey, man, we're going to be talking all about this trade today. And so when you look at those 3 players, they don't operate in the same space. So in theory, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Klay Thompson should be able to really work with each other, right? And taking Luka Doncic out, now you get the ball in Kyrie Irving's hand more than it's already been. And, Kyrie Irving is one of the greatest players that we've ever seen. And obviously Anthony Davis, who's 28 and 12, I think, right now, right? And like 2.5 blocks. So you have a guy that's very good, right? Now you have someone that's that's more of a post presence, even though I know AD likes to be away from the basket as well too. But now you could open up, if they double him, just a quick kick out to Kyrie or to Klay Thompson. So I think in that aspect, it's good. I think Klay will be traded. I actually don't think so. Bruce, I actually don't think he's going to be traded. I'm sure, and I'll get to this more in a second, I don't think he'll get traded because I don't think this was a thought that just happened in the last couple of weeks. If you listen to that Nico Harrison interview, or to the press release or whatever you want to call it, the interview, the press conference that they had, was it yesterday? If I had to guess, this has crossed his mind on more than one occasion, probably since last playoffs. And we'll talk about that some more later. So he signed Klay having thought this before, and so I think he's already considered that. So I don't actually think he's going to trade Klay Thompson. And like I said, I do think that they fit well together, right? So those are all positives. And then you obviously get the defense with Anthony Davis, which helps the Dallas Mavericks out. And we've seen some games with Luka out on the floor where the Dallas Mavericks looked very good. When all of the players were touching the ball was moving, players get to make plays. It it looked good in certain stretches, even though they did lose a bunch of those games as well too. And so those are the positives, right? The new Mavs owner did not want to pay Luka. I don't think it was the GM. Yeah, I mean that is that is a part of it as well too. I do agree that the owner did have to sign off on this, and that does play a key factor. Well, Clay can request a trade. We'll see whether he does or not. We'll see. I think that's still up in the air. I think that's too last minute. Are they going to trade him at the end of this year? We'll see. But I think currently right now, I think he probably stays, although there was a report that they're still looking to make some trades. So we'll see what happens with that. Now, the negative part of this Anthony Davis acquisition, right? The Dallas Mavericks now have 3 All-Stars, right? 2 players that are pretty much all NBA players, right? Or have been. And Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving. But here's the reality about their star group with the 3 players. All 3 players are second options on on championship teams. Let me repeat that one more time. All 3 of these players, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, and Klay Thompson, were second options on championship teams. And I get that some people hate having that number 1, number 2, number 3 option. I understand. And we've talked about applying pressure on your opponents before, right? These guys are obviously really great and they apply a ton of pressure on the other teams. But when it comes to being a player that applies pressure on the other team game in and game out for 48 minutes, are these guys able to do that consistently? Or is one of them going to step up and be able to do that consistently? That is my biggest question mark. Has nothing to do with how great they are. But true number 1 options in the NBA are a lot harder to find than it seems. Because when you start pairing certain players up with other stars, it's a clear cut who the number 1 option is in a lot of cases. And the Dallas Mavericks acquiring Anthony Davis, I think the idea is Anthony Davis is going to be the number 1 option. They're going to be running their offense through him. The primary ball handler and playmaker is going to be Kyrie Irving, but the offense is going to run through Anthony Davis, and that's how they're going to play their offense. It sounds nice in theory, and I'm sure they're going to be difficult to play against. But again, none of these players have ever been a number 1 option on a championship team. And Anthony Davis at 31, Kyrie Irving at 32, Klay at 34. I don't think any of these guys are going to all of a sudden flip a switch and be this other person. And so that's how I'm seeing this situation for the Dallas Mavericks. It does put them in a win-now situation, right? In the next 2 to 3 years, you would be expecting this team to compete for championships, right? You're looking at, let's say 3 to 4. Let's just say 3 to 4. So in 4 years, Anthony Davis will be 35. Kyrie will be 36. And if Klay Thompson were to stay, he'd be 38. 3 stars are on the other side of 30. And I understand you need veterans. I understand you need experience. But to have no star under the age of 20 with a bunch of young and hungry guys coming to take y'all's spot, it's going to be very difficult. And this year is going to be extremely hard because you're expecting them to try to piece this together and get things together and get it right by the end of the year. So you're really looking at next year. What is this roster going to look like next year? I think it's funny that Anthony Davis asked for a big man and then they traded him, and now he has two bigs in Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, and reportedly they're shopping around Gafford, so we'll see what happens with that. But I do like the idea of having him with the big so he could play the four. He could be more free on defense and on offense. There are a lot of positives in this. But like I said, when it comes to being the guy to lead a team to a championship, these guys have not been the main one in those situations. And I do think it matters. I do think it matters, unfortunately, right? So that's just the Dallas Mavericks. And wow, I'm already yapping. That's the Dallas Mavericks. Let's now turn our attention to the Los Angeles Lakers. So the Lakers are getting a 25-year-old phenom in Luka Doncic. So their play is a more long-term play, right? The idea of winning in the next 2 to 3 years in this window with LeBron, to me, seems very unlikely. You have two ball-dominant point guards that score 27-plus points per game. You know, LeBron has talked about being able to shoot threes to extend his career, but he's also spoken about being a more traditional point guard that could extend his career. He can't do that with Luka on the team. Luka can't come off the ball, and neither can LeBron. So there is a major clash in their play styles. It sounds great in theory, but there's a clash in their styles of play. And how will LeBron react to getting the ball significantly less than he's been used to in his career? And it doesn't mean he's shooting the ball every time, but to be the one that's dictating and controlling the offense, he's never had to be one of the other four players on the floor, right? Everything's always ran through him. And so between that and their current roster, they are not in a win-now situation at all to me. You add the fact that Luka's not coming back until I think the 14th of February, right? And that's just him coming back. We don't know what type of shape Luka is going to be in. We don't know how out of shape he could potentially be. So you basically chalk this season up with this trade for Luka Doncic. And the thing that I worry about for them, meaning the Lakers, if LeBron has 2 years maybe, or just next year, or next year and the following year left in his NBA career, you're throwing this year away already. They're 5th in the Western Conference, and granted, I don't believe they were going to win a championship, but when you have LeBron and Anthony Davis in the playoffs, you never know. And now you throw this season away. And I know all of the players in shock, but I really, really wonder how LeBron feels about them throwing this season away. The basketball looks a lot better in Dallas than it does for LA personally. 10 touches to 20 touches, 10 touches, 20 shots, 2 shots, Lakers in 5. I don't know what that first message was, but it sounds like you writing a haiku right there, Elijah. So let me see what else did I fucking have on these guys. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the basketball, until we actually see them, right? We're guessing at this point. But that's how I'm envisioning both of these teams looking on the basketball court, right? So now let's spread, let's pull back a little bit, right? So we can see a little bit more of the picture, right, through this lens, which is all of the things going on between the relationships between these players, the things that the Mavericks have said, and so on and so forth, right? So let's start in this situation with LeBron, because we were already talking about him. Because the Lakers traded for Luka Doncic and have effectively, in my opinion, thrown in the towel for the 2024-2025 season, they've essentially wasted another year for LeBron to win a championship. And just before I got on, I saw a post saying that the Lakers have no intention of trading LeBron because they want him to mentor Luka. And granted, if Luka can be a third of who LeBron is in terms of his conditioning, we're talking about one of the scariest basketball players we've ever seen in Luka. So I understand their thinking. But you're essentially asking one of the greatest, a lot of people might consider the greatest basketball player ever in LeBron, to throw in the towel on his last years in the NBA to set up the LA Lakers for the next 10. I don't know how he feels about that. At face value, it sounds nice. But to help this guy potentially overshadow your career in the next 10 years, I don't know if I would sign up for that personally. And on top of that, you're taking away my opportunity to win a championship to try to catch Michael or to try to catch Kobe. Like I don't know how Bron would feel about that, but I know there were reports that the Warriors inquired about him, and I know that there's reports that the Warriors have inquired about every All-Star, but they've been inquiring about LeBron. And so, does LeBron James request the trade? Does he see this situation and say, hey, one, you got rid of my boy? There are reports that LeBron wasn't told. I know there's some people that call him Le GM. I can see it both ways. Personally, in this situation, I actually don't think that he was told what was going on. Because I think he would have told AD. Because that's his boy. And so I genuinely don't think that LeBron knew what was going on. And that factors in. That counts. Right? That counts. Because they've undermined you now. They've done a great job of celebrating you in all these years, but now they've undermined you towards the end of your career. And if you're LeBron James, do you say, fuck all that? I'm out too. And do they grant it to him because of who he's been and because he won them a championship? So I think the LeBron James Lakers relationship really has taken a hit with this. Whether or not they can patch it up and move forward, I think, is a question that we're going to find out in a couple days, because I do think there is a chance that they trade LeBron before the trade deadline. I do think that there is a chance. And if it makes sense for their future to pair him up with Luka Doncic, I think the Lakers would seriously consider it. Seriously consider it. LeBron did not tell D Wade he was leaving Miami, but he is gonna tell AD. I mean that is true too. That is true. But like I said, I can see it both ways, right? I could see a scenario where LeBron was told and LeBron was not told. At the end of the day, we'll never figure it out. But I do think it definitely impacts how he looks at LA moving forward. For Luka, right? For Luka Doncic, it wasn't a pretty exit out of Dallas, right? Nico Harrison, and this is going to be studied for a long fucking time, but his relationship with Luka Doncic, I think, has been put out on Front Street, right? Luka's 270. We don't have faith in his conditioning and the shape that he's been in. We don't think he's our future moving forward. They're essentially betting against who Luka Doncic is going to be for the rest of his career. So if you're Luka, that's got to hurt. Because there are very few players in the NBA right now that I think you could trade Luka for, and Luka shouldn't feel disrespected. I think there's very few. I think it's Jokic, Giannis, and Wemby. Those are the only three players in my mind that you could trade Luka for, and Luka should not feel disrespected. Everyone else, I think he should feel disrespected. I'm not even going to lie to you. And this is coming from someone that's been very critical of Luka. But this has definitely taken a shot at his ego, and it has to humble him. It has to humble him. Luka's on the Zion diet. Excuse me. Nobody knew, in my opinion. I think egos got involved, and that is what got him traded. Nico fumbled Jalen Brunson. I think we will get a story 2 months. Nico fumbles Steph Curry for Nike. Nico is not that smart. No, that is a lot of fumbles. In fairness, though, Bruce, I don't know if this was around the same time, but the Golden State Warriors also did not give Steph Curry a massive contract because of the injuries that he was going through. They definitely did fumble the Jalen Brunson deal too, though. He did fumble that. Nico got the Mavericks less picks than the Kings got for Lavine. Yeah. So from Luka's perspective, you got to feel disrespected in this situation. Right? A lot of people feels like he should have gotten MVP last year. If he were healthy this year, I think he probably would have been in the conversation. A top 3 player in the league, right? Top 3 or 4. I mean, he's got to be extremely humbled. And you know what else I think is so funny, right? I think it's so funny when all the reports are coming out of, oh, he's 270. We don't believe he's our future. All of these negative things, right? And then a couple days later, the Dallas Mavericks also make a post and say, oh my God, thank you, Luka, for all the amazing things that you've done. Like, it sounds like some bullshit. You read it and it's not matching what you were just saying about this man. And so Luka needs to take all of this. Nah, Nico fumbled Curry because he misspelled. Oh, I do remember that story. I do remember that story. I do. Actually, I do remember that story. I do remember that. Yeah. No, you were right. Yeah. They put like Stefan or some shit, right? And not Stefan. Yeah, they fucked his name up. That's crazy, dog. That's crazy. What happens to Luka moving forward, right? Does this start a fire in Luka Doncic that turns him into a top 5, top 10 basketball player that we've ever seen? You know, because he's had a bunch of injuries in the last couple years, right? His career didn't start with injuries. He's gotten a couple in the last couple years, right? And my fear is this. He's 25 right now, right? He should have put, or he essentially is missing this entire year this year, right? 2024, 2025. This season, you chalk it up, right? Next year, he'll be 26. And then 27. And then 28. Before you know it, he's going to be 30. And if he doesn't start taking care of his body and he keeps getting injured, well, he's going to damn near look like Joel Embiid out there. Meaning, you're an MVP caliber player. You are that good when you're on the floor, even overweight or a little injured. You're better than damn near everybody. But you still turn into a what if story if you can't get your body right and stay on the floor. And I would hate to see Luka's career turn into that. That would be a very scary thing, right? And I don't think he's Joel Embiid. I don't think he's Joel Embiid. I think, if anything, he's going to really turn this fuel into fire. And I wanted to point out, I absolutely expect a different Luka, and you know I'm a critic. No, he's not done for the season, but like, this is a throwaway year for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't start the season because he was already out a little bit. Was playing, and then he got hurt, and now he's out for this stretch of time. Now he has to adjust to LA, adjust to playing with Bron, adjust to a new city. Like, there's so much going on. This year is just an extremely tough year for him, right? And when we're talking about his weight, what the fuck is this, right? Let's see. Where is this? We're talking about his weight, man. Granted, this was his rookie year.
Luka's handles.
Yeah. See, we're gonna get some Globetrotter stuff too.
But
this year,
he just looks so different
Look at that.
than the player that he is right now. You see when he's jumping, you see his quickness and his speed. He's getting... He was turning the corner his rookie year. He wasn't super athletic then, but he was able to turn the corner on guys because he had some athleticism. What was left of it? I'm trying to get an actual play of him doing something. Let's see this.
Elevation.
But you just see him turning that corner. And I get that there's injuries that are a part of it. But you compare that to this guy in the NBA Finals last year.
The Celtics win in game 1. Doncic drives to Exum.
X and wide open three-pointer.
You're not even seeing him get around people like that anymore.
Number 1 in the NBA in field goal percentage allowed
His
in the paint
speed,
as the contesting defender.
his
That
quickness,
from Luka
his
Doncic,
jumping
that
ability,
is a great
it's
example
all
of court mapping.
Yeah, there was a
gone down the
hesitancy to
drain.
him
Look at how
talking
he's going to
about
come
it.
off this pick. He's not
As
trying
he
to
so
get around
desperately
people
wants
like
to play.
that
This
for
is the
real.
this is- oh!
He's able to make tough shots, and he's just so talented that he's able to get away with it and make tough shots. But the game has gotten hard for him. And I saw someone online talking about, oh, his conditioning is fine. Like, he's able to do this, that, and the third, even at his weight. And I was like, dog, are you fucking nuts? Are you fucking crazy? We're speaking about a 25-year-old man. What we're seeing right now isn't supposed to happen till he's 34. About this type of decline, this type of weight gain, he's slowing down. Now he got to do he has to use his old man game. That's not supposed to happen until he's 34. Not 25. And it's just mind-blowing to me. Like, someone tried to compare him to Jokic. Jokic lost weight. I don't know if people realize Jokic lost weight and has been on a tear and has been getting better every year since. To act like this isn't important is just like, it's brain dead. It's brain dead. Luka likes to drink, so he needs to cut it out. Last week, Luka bought a mansion in TX and lost a Supermax. He has been crying. He's going to cry to officials like the actor he is in Hollywood. So the weight, it's definitely an issue, right? Luka should probably be the best player in the world right now. And the only thing that's honestly, I think, preventing him from it, aside from little things about his game, really is his physicality, his conditioning. And mind you, he don't need no six-pack. He don't need to walk out there and look like LeBron. He don't even need to weigh how much he weighed in his rookie year. I think they in the books he was at 230 pounds in his rookie year. He don't need to be that. He just can't be 270 to 280. We're talking 245, maybe 250 at most, 240 to 250. That should be his sweet spot. That asking for too much? And now there's reports of he had his own trainers that were trying to handle him. All of the reports from the Dallas camp have been bad. All of the reports. And a lot of people gave me shit about this last playoffs, right? I firsthand on my little ass channel, I saw firsthand what the Luka Hive looks like. And I was critiquing his weight. I was critiquing how he is with his teammates, especially in last year's playoffs. And I was getting killed for it. And I'm going to show you guys this moment right here, because I think that this moment had a lot to do with the decision that they made to trade Luka Doncic. So let's take a look at it.
Brown runs into Doncic, blocking foul, and that's it. He's fouled out. Luka Doncic has fouled out with 4:12 remaining. So Luka, he's fouled out.
This right here.
Luka Doncic has fouled out with 4:12 remaining.
As the best player on the team, you not only put yourself in that situation, right? You can't put yourself in that situation as the best player on the team. But to yell at the bench the way that he did told me so much about Luka Doncic's relationship with the Dallas Mavericks organization. And a lot of people were telling me it shouldn't have been a foul, or you're reading too much into it, or da 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 da. You can't speak to your coaches like that. Like, I get that, we talk about this is an emotional game. People are in the heat of the moment. You could get mad at referees, the other team, whatever the case might be. But your coaching staff? Like, there has to be a level of respect that you have for Jason Kidd, the Hall of Famer and NBA champion, and the rest of those guys on that bench. And for him, Luka Doncic, to turn and yell at the bench the way that he did in that moment told me a lot. And I'm sure that management saw that and also felt the way about it. You take that moment on top of the criticism of the way that he goes at referees. I've said I think it hurts him and his team, because referees don't fuck with y'all. They're not trying to give you or your team a call because you're bitching the whole time. And so he has hurt them, I think, in a lot of different ways. And that moment right there, I think, stuck out to a lot of people in the Dallas Mavericks organization. And I think was one of the reasons as to why they finally made this decision. And it's also why I said earlier, why I think this has been something that Nico Harrison has thought about even before. This was not a new thought. And this might have been one of those moments. So Luka has a lot of questions that he's got to answer moving forward, right? He's got a lot of questions that he's got to answer moving forward. Now, let's turn our view back on the Dallas Mavericks and Anthony Davis. If you're Anthony Davis, obviously you're shocked, but you also got to feel a little bit complimented, right? Like, this guy is the golden child. This guy was supposed to be the next one. Everyone in the league thought this guy was untouchable. And the fact that if we're to believe the reports that they only went to Dallas and maybe one other team because they wanted AD, if you're Anthony Davis, you got to feel, after this settles down, you got to be like, shit, that's not bad. And so what does that do to him moving forward? Does that turn him into a demon? Does he go beast mode? Also, a lot of people are going to be looking at Nico Harrison. He's now on the hot seat. His job, if he wasn't, and Bruce, you've pointed out all of the fumbles that he's made, right? But if ownership wasn't looking at him as if he's on the hot seat, he has now put himself on the hot seat with this trade. Because now they have to win. You can't not win. And if Anthony Davis retires and they don't win a championship because of this move, and Luka eventually wins one, you will look really bad, Nico Harrison. You will look really, really bad. And so only time will tell, right? Only time will tell, but wow. Is there anything else when it comes to... Oh! And I think this kind of goes into what I was talking about with the way Luka turned at the bench. Nico Harrison kept mentioning culture. About people that are just a part of the team culture versus people that are adding to it. And he said he believes that Anthony Davis and Max Christie are adding to the culture. And I think that's just a very PC way of saying Luka was not good for the locker room. I don't know, right? I mean, I just pointed out all of the reasons where I think he's hurting the team. And I'm sure there are some players on the team that might feel that way. And that could impact your locker room in a negative way, right? So it's just crazy to me, right? It's crazy to me that this has even happened. Let me see. All right, so let's broaden this out a little bit, right? We'll broaden this out. We'll start with their contracts, right? We'll broaden this out just a little bit more. Because Nico kept saying Anthony Davis fits their timeline, right? So Luka's contract was, he has a player option in the 2026-2027 season, right? So he could either pick up that option or not. That's up to him. And then 27-28 is when he would be a unrestricted free agent, right? 2024-2025, like I said, you could basically chalk it up. And so if you're the Dallas Mavericks, and I'm trying to just rationalize this, right? If you're the Dallas Mavericks, okay, you chalk this season up because Luka's been hurt. Next year, Luka gets to decide if he wants to sign the extension and or pick up his player option, right? And Nico Harrison was talking about essentially wanting control of that situation, right? He said, you know, you put an offer in and you're basically at the player's mercy on whether or not they want to pick up the contract or not. And he said Luka had never verbally said that he wasn't going to sign an extension or that he didn't want to be in Dallas. I do wonder if there was anything else that happened that could have told him otherwise, but all things considered, it seemed like Luka wanted to stay, right? And for whatever reason, Dallas did not want to have that looming over their heads. And you compare that to an Anthony Davis who's not he's an unrestricted free agent in 2028, 2029. So this is clearly just a short-term thing for the Dallas Mavericks, and they basically have to win in the next 3 to 4 years for this to work in their favor. Otherwise, they'll just look stupid, right? But I wanted to Pelinka saw your Knicks being destroyed by the Lakers without AD, so they made the trade. That's the crazy part too, right? It happened after the Knicks shit, like, and this is funny, right? This is funny because I'm putting, this is not a Yankees hat. This is a conspiracy theorist hat, right? So follow me on this little journey right here because this was on my mind. LeBron James made the decision in New York City, right? That's why it's so ironic that this happened while the Lakers were in New York. LeBron was in New York, right? When LeBron made the decision to go to the Miami Heat, it shifted the NBA. We've always known about the business of the NBA and how ruthless it could be, especially from the team side, the way they could trade players or cut players or whatever the case might be. LeBron's decision shifted the power to the players. And I think over the years, that shift has grown and has become more apparent with Kevin Durant going from team to team, players getting coaches fired, requesting trades, essentially not having to honor their contracts all the way through. And a lot of players are happy about that. And I do think it's great. If you're in a shitty organization that's not trying to win, that's not doing what they're supposed to do, I think you should be able to request a trade. Granted, you still have to show up to work and do what you do, but you have that option. I think it's great. A lot of people have complained about this over the last couple of years, about players are being lazy, players have too much power, and yada, 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 and so on and so forth. And I've spoken about this at length. With the NBA going back to NBC and their roots, right? Games are becoming more physical. We're seeing old school basketball slowly coming back. What if a part of that shift is shifting the power back to the owners and the teams? The Miami Heat, in this Jimmy Butler situation, it really turned the corner when they suspended him. Because now you're taking money out of his pocket. They always tell you, take the money away and motherfuckers will start acting differently. And that's exactly what the Miami Heat have done. Oh, you want to request a trade? You want to do this and that? You want to act out? Cool. We'll suspend you and we won't pay you. You don't have the ultimate power in this scenario. And Miami showed that. The entire league was in shock over the weekend. The amount of players that were on their phones or staff members' phones during games, it was unbelievable. We've never seen it before. Every player talked about Luka Doncic being untouchable, the golden child of the NBA. And the fact that the golden child got traded away, I think it has struck fear into all of the players again. Now there's reports the Phoenix Suns are listening to Kevin Durant trades. We saw De'Aaron Fox finally got traded. Zach Lavine finally got traded. Everyone is talking about not being safe. All of a sudden, the owners have shifted the power back to them. And here's the other part. Here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. And this is why my mind was going crazy this weekend. They put Luka Doncic with LeBron James, the person that started all of this. By putting him on a team with LeBron, do you know what this does? This sends a message to LeBron, you're not our priority anymore. You, who was also supposed to be untouchable, are no longer untouchable. Because we now have the future. How crazy would it be if the Lakers also trade LeBron as a result of this? Fulfilling this full circle moment of trying to shift the power back to the teams and organizations. Was this a part of that play? And granted, this really helps the Lakers in terms of marketing, in terms of popularity. I mean, this, in terms of the Lakers organization, this skyrockets them. Skyrockets them. But it does kind of take away from the shine of the player because, like I said, now it's going to be attached to this team. Chill. This trade shifted the power back to owners. Now the owners are back. Watch another big name be traded. Butler is another example. Miami's in charge. Does it send that they traded AD, not Bron? No. I know they traded AD. It would make more sense to fill Bron with Luka than AD. No, I hear you. But here's the thing, too, though. Think about how the scenario happened. The Lakers didn't ask LeBron. If we're to assume that's correct, so he's not in the know on their management deals. So all of a sudden, you're not going to dictate the way this team is run, LeBron James. We get Luka, who's been hurt all year. We're not helping you on your championship run this year, LeBron James, and you're almost done with your career. Your play styles don't match. I think a lot of this, in a weird way, takes shots at LeBron. And I think it now puts Bron in an uncomfortable situation because here's the thing about Luka. We were talking about number one options, right? Luka goes in that locker room and not for 1 second does he think LeBron is better than him. Not for 1 second. I'm sure LeBron's going to feel that. Whether he believes it or not, he's going to feel that energy coming from this young gun who is about to take over the franchise. See, the thing about the Anthony Davis situation in LA, they had to keep telling Anthony Davis that he was the number one option because I think it helped stroke his ego. When we know exactly who the priority was this whole time, which was LeBron James. This totally shifts the focus away from Bron. And that's why I don't believe them when they say they're not going to trade him. I think they could keep him because him mentoring Luka, I think, really could help. But at the same time, they could trade him. Whether it's to try to help him win a championship, but it also accomplishes them proving a point that we are not at the mercy of these players anymore. I'm so glad I finally got that out, y'all. Oh, man, I'm so glad I finally got that out. But, there is, Adam Silver has been talking about it. There's a shift in the NBA. And I think the shift is happening in everything. They're in a transition period. It's happening in everything. Think about the amount of money that Luka lost from 356 to 229 or something like that, right? Something crazy. Lost over $100 million that he would have gotten. That hurts. That is sticking it to someone. That is sending a message. And so, now with this trade, I think it shifts the power back to ownership. I think it puts LeBron in an uncomfortable situation. I'm not going to lie to you, where he felt like the priority and he felt like the guy that was running the show, even though he tells us that he's not. Now we definitely know he's not. And I'm curious what happens to that relationship moving forward. Did I miss anything? Listen, I told y'all from the jump, we not talking about nothing else today. Nothing else today. I think that's all I got with this, man. I think that's all I got with this. Oh, here's the other part too. The Super Bowl is next weekend, and you wouldn't know it if based on the last couple days. I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but if the NBA's intent was to take some shine and some of the spotlight away from the Super Bowl this week, well then bravo. Like, genuinely, bravo, because y'all did it. Y'all did it. Patrick Mahomes is trying to get his third straight Super Bowl championship. And y'all have somehow managed to take the spotlight away from the Super Bowl. So kudos to the NBA, man. I don't know how y'all pulled this off, but you guys managed to figure out how to do it. So kudos to you guys. Are y'all not entertained, man? Everybody been saying the NBA. Are you not entertained? This is crazy. Now, before I get out of here, I did want to touch on this. The Kings, Chicago Bulls, all of this shit. Because, where is this? The Spurs are getting De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin. The Kings are getting Zach Lavine, Sidi Sissoko, and 3 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks. The Bulls get Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and their own 2025 pick via the Spurs. I've already spoken about how I think De'Aaron Fox pairing up with Wemby is great. The report from the Spurs the other day about how they believe that Stephon Castle could be a comparison to De'Aaron Fox, and he could be De'Aaron Fox in the next couple years. I found that report very odd, because how is this kid about to grow when you have an all-star, potential all-NBA player that you're bringing in De'Aaron Fox? Yeah, that to me is a little bit odd. But I like the pairing on multiple levels. I think their games can complement each other, but I also think Wemby's stardom can really put a spotlight on De'Aaron Fox and really elevate his popularity, which I think is extremely positive. So I like that. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's hilarious that Zach Lavine is with DeMar. Like, it is hilarious to me. How old is Zach Lavine? Let's see. How old is this guy? Zach Lavine is 29 years old. They basically just ended his career. Yo, that's crazy. They must not like him, because they basically ended this man's career by sending him to the Sacramento Kings. And he was having a very good year this year. Y'all already know I was pulling for him to go to Denver. I thought Zach Lavine to Denver would have been really great. I also saw reports that Ben Simmons wants out of Brooklyn, or he wants to go to a contending team. Low key, and obviously this isn't going to happen, low key, if the Denver Nuggets were to get Zach Lavine and also somehow pick up Ben Simmons, I think that might have been a good little thing that they had going on, especially with Aaron Gordon, having the injuries and playing the way he's been lately. To tell Ben Simmons to play defense, rebound, and dunk the ball might have worked out, but I also have no faith in Ben Simmons. But Zach Lavine, for sure, I think would have been really good for them. What the fuck is going on in Sacramento? Those guys don't know what they're doing. I'm sorry, they just don't know what they're doing. But look for Jimmy to get traded before the 6th. That's in 3 days. Honestly, I'm keeping my eyes out for a LeBron James trade. Like, I genuinely, I don't know if Cleveland can pull it off. I don't think they can. I think there's a world where the Warriors pull it off. You're thinking of Luka with a Kuminga and like a Trace Jackson Jr., something like that, right? Start putting some of these pieces together, some young guys. Who knows? The evolution meme with Luka was hilarious, with Dalton Connect, Austin Reeves, and now Luka. They've completed it. For the next 10 years, the Lakers are gonna be using that Luka Doncic Pokeball when they're in a bind, man. They're gonna try to use him to go get them out of some tough situations. But that's all that I got for today, man. I have thought entirely too much about this situation over the last 48 hours, and I'm glad that I finally got it out of my system. I could finally sleep sound tonight. Because what the fuck was that just happened this weekend? This honestly is one of the craziest things that I've witnessed. And then the best part was, to me, the icing on the cake was that the Mavericks gave up 91 points in the first half against the Cavaliers. That, to me, was the icing on the cake. It don't get no better than that. But that's going to do it for me for now, man. I appreciate y'all for listening to me yap. I know I had a lot to say. I had a lot to talk about. But that's going to do it for me for now, man. Before I get out of here, please like and comment and subscribe. All that good shit. It really helps the channel out. We're trying to take this to the moon. As always, man, thank y'all for listening to me. Thanks for the love. Y'all have been the chat has been so unbelievable, man. Y'all have been truly, truly amazing. Shout out to Elijah. Shout out to you, Elijah. Shout out to you, Bruce. Y'all been holding me down. I appreciate y'all so much, man. Thank you. That's going to do it for me for today. I'll be back on Wednesday. I'll see y'all on Wednesday. What is it? I do have a trip over the weekend, so I haven't decided if I'm gonna go live on Friday or not, or Thursday. I don't know. I'll figure that out in the next days, and I'll let y'all know on Wednesday. But that's gonna do it for me for now, man. Have a great rest of y'all day. I'll see y'all on Wednesday. Y'all could have been anywhere on the internet, but y'all were here with me, and I appreciate y'all for that, man. Thank y'all so much. Y'all have a good one, man. Peace, 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 peace. I'll see